Sweet and juicy peaches or nectarines, just $2.99 per pound. Save $4 on fresh USDA bone-in ribeye steaks, $15.99 per pound. Schmidt Old Time Honey Wheat Sliced Bread, $4.49 for a 20-ounce loaf. Wishbone salad dressings, only $3.25 for select varieties of 15-ounce bottles. Select varieties of 128-ounce bottles. Arizona iced tea, just $5.99. Visit our website at www.marketplace.bm.
You can count on us.
You're watching Bermuda Broadcasting News. It's Friday, June 22nd. I'm Diane Brewer, and thank you for joining us tonight. A bill to end conscription was finally passed in the House of Assembly today, 53 years after compulsory military service was first put in place. Parliament's action follows more than a decade of pressure from the campaign group Bermudians Against the Draft, or BAD, which fought the government through the courts and with public awareness campaigns. National Security Minister Wayne Keynes, who introduced the bill, said conscription was out of place in the modern era.
Mr. Speaker, conscription has served Bermuda well over the years, having begun with the onset of World War II and seeing us safely through international conflicts and several natural disasters. That said, a modern era dictates that the time has come for conscription into the Royal Bermuda Regiment to end, as is the case in each of the other overseas territories. Mr. Speaker, honorable members opposite will be aware that one of the key concerns of the former government of completely abolishing conscription was the Royal Bermuda Regiment's ability to continuously recruit volunteers at a high enough rate so not to disrupt operations. However, the Royal Bermuda Regiment has developed a comprehensive strategic plan that will help evolve the Bermuda Regiment to evolve into a modern defense force.
But currently serving conscripts won't be able to walk away yet. The bill states they must complete the remainder of their service. Elsewhere, Michael Dunkley, the Shadow Minister for National Security, was the first MP to acknowledge the efforts of BAD and the Marshall family, whose efforts brought about today's bill.
Mr. Speaker, haven't been mentioned by the current government, but certainly the Bermudians Against the Draft, while all of us might not agree with everything they've done or said or positions they've taken, I think that they have enabled the discussion and the debate to take place, and I think that they should be comforted in where we are today and how we got there. But I think the seed, the germination of where we are today should go back to the former government and should go to the National and Security Defense Review, which I have a copy of here, Mr. Speaker. They presented what I call a very comprehensive review of Bermuda's national security and defense with recommendations on a viable approach to make sure that we have a more secure Bermuda going forward.
In other news, bus operators have ended their work to rule, with the Bermuda Industrial Union President Chris Verbert saying it has been lifted immediately. The industrial action began last Friday with all bus services canceled last Monday, causing widespread disruption. The operators initially said 10 to 12 issues needed resolving. Minister of Transport Walter Urban spoke to Bermuda Broadcasting a short time ago.
The issues that brought about the work to rule, which was outstanding issues, about 12 or so issues that the union had communicated to the government over recent weeks and months, has now been addressed. They are satisfied with the answers we have given them to those issues. Many are long-standing, and they are now prepared now to go back to work, having been satisfied with the answers that we have been given. Well, we'll be meeting next Tuesday. There will be timelines, deadlines, and actions attached to that, and we'll be getting together starting next Tuesday to address them item by item. In fact, the work to address those has already been started. I must give congratulations and credit to the new director, Roger Todd, and his team, who have been working since these matters arose of concern by the union members to actually address the outstanding issues that were presented to us. It's called trust. It's called partnership. It's called communication. And all of these principles, the BIU, I believe, now understands that this government is committed to with them and dealing with issues that have been long-standing to be addressed in a satisfactory manner to all parties concerned.
And we apologize for the audio issues on that piece. Well, we'll have more for you after this short break, including news of an historic pardon for a victim of biased justice, plus all the latest weather news. Stay with us.
You can count on us.
Value Pack Fresh Purdue Chicken Thighs, $1.99 per pound. Juicy red ripe seedless watermelons, $15.99 each. Only $1.70 for an 18-ounce bottle of select varieties of open pit barbecue sauce. Save $1.71 on Kraft mayonnaise, $5.09 for a 30-ounce jar. Selected varieties of Purex laundry detergent, $4.99 for a 50-ounce bottle. Visit our website at www.marketplace.pm for more super specials.
You can count on us.
Bermuda. Join us at the Snorkel Park Beach and Bermuda's favorite old school DJs for a fun night of dancing under the stars to the best of old school R&B, house, soul, reggae, soca, calypso, pop, hip hop, and more. It's Solid Gold Saturdays. The grown-up party, the big people party, dressed smart and sexy with a spectacular DJ lineup. It's Mikey B, Malcolm Lethal Weapon Smith, DJ Iceman, Marky T, Juggling Jason, and yours truly, the Matrix Ninja Cutty. I will be there with special live performances by reggae sensation Mox. Gate open 8 p.m. Admission is free before 10. $10 after. So get there early. Snorkel Park Beach, Solid Gold Saturdays. DJ lineup for the 23rd of June. It's Mikey B, Malcolm Lethal Weapon Smith, and Ninja Cutty. See you there.
Welcome back. A significant step towards curbing drunk driving has been made with the tabling of new legislation to introduce roadside sobriety tests. Deputy Premier and Minister of Transport and Regulatory Affairs Walter Raban told MPs the Road Traffic Amendment Act 2018 is just one part of the government's plan to reduce dangerous behavior on the roads.
The bill makes provision for the senior magistrate to authorize the police to conduct road sobriety checkpoint to stop all vehicles traveling through an authorized predetermined location to check whether the driver is impaired. The purpose of these checkpoints is to deter driving after drinking by increasing the perceived risk of arrest. Drivers will be aware upcoming road sobriety checkpoint by a notice published in the Gazette, and the checkpoints will be highly visible with signage posted alerting drivers on the road of an upcoming checkpoint.
In other news, Premier David Burt today moved to right a historical wrong, calling on the governor to pardon American pastor, the Reverend Charles Vinton Monk. He exposed harsh conditions imposed on Jamaican workers who constructed the Royal Naval Dockyard. Reverend Monk was arrested and charged with criminal libel, but as Mike Sharp reports, the premier now wants his conviction overturned.
Reverend Monk was born in Philadelphia between 1852 and 1906. He grew to become an AME minister and journalist and was posted in Bermuda in the late 1800s. While here working at Mount Zion and Allen Temple, he started his own newspaper called The New Era. He editorialized against rampant racism and nepotism. He was imprisoned after writing about unjust conditions imposed on Jamaican workers. Premier Burt, flanked by AME clergy and the BIU president, said,
Earlier today in Parliament, we made the announcement that with the approval of the Cabinet, I have made a request to the Governor to consider a full and free posthumous pardon under Section 22.1 of the Bermuda Constitution for the late Reverend Charles Vinton Monk, who was a pastor of the AME Church, who was convicted for criminal libel for reporting a situation in Bermuda of, I would say, very poor treatment of workers who were brought into the country to build the Royal Naval Dockyard. That was chronicled very ably for those of us modern generations by the late Ira Phillip in the book From Monk to Mazumbo, where he spoke about the trial in very vivid terms, the fact of what can be only characterized as a miscarriage of justice, where there were over 100 witnesses that testified to the fact that that what was written was true, but yet he was fined, imprisoned, and convicted of criminal libel for basically reporting the truth of the powers that be on that of that time.
The pastor of St. Paul's AME Church, Reverend Nicholas Tweed, is the man behind the requested pardon.
Let me first say thank you to the distinguished Premier for having both the historical understanding of the importance of this case and also the moral courage to correct a historic wrong. Seldom in the life of a community do we have the opportunity to correct historic injustices.
Reverend Howard Dill, the pastor of Ellen Temple, said, "It's a special time in history."
A very historic moment for our church and even for our country with so much that is going on. At the tail end of Heroes Weekend or celebration, we are lifting up a real hero. Yeah, a real hero.
I'm Mike Sharp with Bermuda Broadcasting News.
Turning to weather news, an extremely hot day today, but we have a beautiful weekend in store. Let's go to AccuWeather now for the details.
AccuWeather is presented by BF&M Insurance Group. We now go to AccuWeather headquarters.
This AccuWeather forecast here on ZBM is brought to us by our friends at the BF&M Insurance Group, as always. And we were watching a front, we're still watching a front that's to our north, and it basically camped out just to our north for a little while. It's beginning to lose some of its identity and pull away to the north. And you never want to lose your identity. So we're dealing with basically a situation where it's not going to produce much more shower action. Most of the fleeting showers that have been nearby have generally been to our north. And most of the next few days are just going to keep us locked into a very warm weather pattern. Unusually warm nights, seasonably warm days, and it is pretty humid out there with the flow that will prevail from the south and southwest. You'll notice there are no expansive clouds across the area, just a couple of small-scale clouds that have been generally more on the north side of the island and to the north as opposed to the south because of that front. Here you can see the showers that have been slightly more widespread to our west, to our north, and this is beginning to pull away to the north once again. So that most recent front didn't really bring us any kind of a refreshing cool down, but there's hope later next week, around Tuesday into Wednesday, when a healthier cold front will come on in with a little more gusto, and that will deliver some extra showers and thunderstorms possibly, but also a cool down for us. Here we are with the current setup, 82 degrees. There's the south-southwest wind at 10 to 15 knots, fairly strong. Humidity is high, 75 to 80%. It's muggy out there. Water temp 82, matching the air temp. Waves on the inside, 1 to 2 feet on the outside, 3 to 5 footers. Still a little more active on the south side of the island for wave heights, but we are not dealing with any small craft warnings as we had been over the past couple of evenings. High tide was just recently at 5:21. Tide's going out. It'll continue to do so until 11:51 tonight. Another high tide at 5:41 in the morning, and then low tide approaching noon on your Saturday. Breezy, look at that low temperature, 76. It's a warm one tonight. Breezy and partly cloudy. Tomorrow, a couple of showers, and again, these are going to be very few and far between. A stray shower in the afternoon is how we're playing it with the words on the graphic there. These are not going to be lasting long, and they're not going to be widespread. 82 for your high, so it's a warm, breezy day. Futurecast shows the front to our north, broad flow from the south throughout the course of the night into the day tomorrow, more south wind, and that's just going to keep us warm. Maybe a stray sprinkle or shower riding along that. Now, there will be more than just a stray sprinkle or shower in eastern parts of North America. Many showers, thunderstorms in New York, periods of rain into Boston late in the day on Saturday. Toronto turning wet as well. A little cooler there as well. Atlanta scattered storms, Miami scattered storms. London looks good, warming up, a little more sunshine, 73 there. Scattered thunderstorms for the first Saturday of the official summer season into the Caribbean. But the good news is no tropical threats, no signs of the B storm in view over the next week. So we'll take that as a victory. So we just stay warm and breezy, warm nights especially, generally dry Sunday and Monday. Then here comes our front. We get cooler and very wet as well Tuesday into Wednesday. Back to you.
AccuWeather was presented by BF&M Insurance Group.
My name is Kevin Roberts. I'm a taxi driver / ambassador. My father's with BF&M, so am I. half of my family always been seemed to be with Bermuda Fine Marine. I tried a different provider at one time, but I wasn't too happy with the competition because back then it took too long to settle claims. They questioned every claim, and I never really had that problem with BF&M. I'm quite happy with it.
Listen.
In the early hours of this morning, the cost of American motorbikes, Levi jeans, and bourbon whiskey imported into Europe went up by 25%. The overnight hike is the latest salvo in an escalating trade war spreading around the globe. And as Tony Waterman explains, countries like Bermuda that rely on imports could find themselves stuck in the middle.
This is where you guys have your door selection. All of our aluminum displays are here in the main shop. And this is our most popular product. This is our half single hung door. It's all aluminum. The frame's aluminum.
Baptist Limited owner Sasha Bearden says the company sells hundreds of these aluminum doors every year. But if you're looking to buy one, you may want to do it sooner rather than later.
Right now, it's $9.99, and we're really resisting going over that, $1,000 mark. So we're trying our hardest to keep it at a reasonable price.
That you actually have a choice not to go over that now that we have these tariffs go up?
Our suppliers have already told us that everything ordered after June 1st, which was when the tariffs were going to start, the prices are going to go up. If the tariff is 10%, our prices won't go up by 10%. Our prices will maybe go up 5%.
It's the collateral damage of the Trump administration's trade policy. Aluminum imports to the U.S. are now hit with a 10% duty. Steel, 25%. It's led to a spate of retaliatory measures. Overnight, the EU imposed duties on $3 billion worth of American goods. Canada, Mexico, India, and China are doing the same.
As soon as we start to go down this road of more trade retaliation, the bigger risk there's more of a stagflationary environment. Prices kind of generally go up in a lot of cases, and growth slows with all this uncertainty.
The stage is already set for things to escalate. In a tweet, President Trump threatened to impose a 20% tariff on all imported EU cars. And he's already eyeing duties on an additional $200 billion worth of Chinese goods.
We put tariffs on certain countries and certain industries where it's been very unfair to the United States.
Bermuda could find itself stuck in the middle. It imported more than $700 million worth of goods from the U.S. last year, far outstripping any other trade partner. Finding new suppliers won't be easy.
Most of the things on the hit list are what we call capital goods, so the goods that American companies use to make the things that we buy. So it's going to take a while for this stuff to work its way through the supply chain.
Sasha Bearden says to expect prices to go up in the next 3 to 6 months.
How concerned are you about this as a business owner?
When prices go up, yeah, people slow down a little bit, take a breath and say, do I really need that? So, yeah, I'm concerned.
Concerned about a trade war Bermuda has nothing to do with. Tony Waterman for Bermuda Broadcasting News.
Thanks, Tony. Well, the Department of Health's free screening program, Taking It to the Streets, is underway. The first session has been running since 4 p.m. at Woody's Drive-In on Bowes Island. Testing for chronic diseases like diabetes and hypertension is the main aim of the program. Catching those suffering from such illnesses early means they can take action to prevent serious medical problems later. 3 more sessions will be held in the coming months in Southampton, Hamilton, and St. George's, and nursing staff at today's event said within 10 minutes of its starting, they saw people who needed help.
We've seen so far a total of 15 people. Out of the 15 people, 3 have been identified as either having high blood pressure and being obese. So therefore, we gave them some guidelines, prevention measures. We talked to them about having appropriate foods and exercise.
One of the island's best-known experts on diseases like diabetes says Bermuda needs such free health checks, but they're the mark of a health system which is failing the poor.
In Bermuda, they're particularly important because of the quite numerous number of people who have they have limited insurance. So the reimbursement for the care that they potentially would seek is actually fairly low. They have quite high co-pays in the community, and therefore when they potentially might go to their GP for health assessment, they are going to have some significant out-of-pocket payment. And this actually deters people from coming for care. So they may not be aware of health issues that they have. They'll only come when it's an emergency, when they're in crisis.
Okay, travelers, take note. The summer months are a popular time for travel, but speaking in the House today, Kim Wilson, the Minister of Health, warned of an increase in measles cases in 2 of the destinations most popular with Bermudians.
The World Health Organization, or WHO, has received an increase in reported cases of the measles in Europe and the Americas. In 2017, Europe had more than 22,000 reported cases, and in the first 2 months of this year, more than 11,000. The Americas has had more than 1,600 cases, including in the United States and Canada in the first few months of this year. This, Mr. Acting Speaker, is of great concern for all of us, whether traveling or staying in Bermuda. Mr. Acting Speaker, diseases like the measles know no boundaries and travel happily without passports. This means that we all have a responsibility to keep our country and those countries we travel in safe. If less than 95% of the community is vaccinated, then there is less protection against the disease and it is more likely to spread. Mr. Acting Speaker, the outbreaks in Europe and the Americas have been attributed to persons being under-vaccinated or unvaccinated. Measles is a highly contagious virus that can spread from an infected person by coughing and sneezing. The droplets can last up to 2 hours in an airspace, and up to 90% of people close to the person who are not immune will also become infected.
And the minister urged people to get vaccinated against the disease if they haven't already.
Measles is not a disease to be complacent about. It can cause pneumonia, blindness, inflammation of the brain, and even death. Mr. Acting Speaker, as the summer presents a time for travel and with persons going on holidays abroad or even attending the World Cup, we wish to remind and encourage the public to ensure that they and their children's vaccines are up to date. The adult immunization and travel health clinics in the Department of Health can help. Before attending the clinics, you can complete a quick questionnaire about your travel, which can be found on our website. And for children's immunizations, Mr. Acting Speaker, be sure to discuss this with their doctor.
Still to come, Roll Basin will have all the latest sports news in just a few minutes.
Price Rite is your one-stop shop with something for everyone. Household goods for kitchen, bedroom, and bathroom. Aisles of bulk groceries at value prices. A complete selection of fresh meat and produce. And an extensive range of frozen items to cover every meal. Wines from around the world and beer and liquor at discount prices. Visit Price Rite at our 2 locations in Pembroke and Warren. There's always something new and always something for everyone.
How much do you want for the carriage? You accept doggy biscuits?
Three more matches in the World Cup today with Nigeria against Iceland, perhaps the pick of the games. That group also containing Argentina, of course, whose qualification hopes are looking very shaky indeed. We won't give away the scores as we're replaying all the games on ZFE Channel 7 starting at 8 p.m. We're also streaming all the action on our website, of course, at BermudaBroadcasting.com. Click on 2018 FIFA World Cup Russia. It's all made possible by our sponsors, Colonial Group International, Butterfield, the Lindos Group of Companies, and Bermuda Motors. Now with all the other sports news, here's today's sports report with Earl Baston.
Lancelot and Latango are two names well known in and around Bermuda in the sport of equestrian. The pair, along with Dawn Fox, have met the qualifying standard for the CAC Games in the sport of dressage.
Fox said hard work and good care pays off.
I've been working with both horses since they were 5 years old, and they're now 16 years old. And, you know, as they say, it takes a village. There's a lot of things that go into getting horses to this level. So I have Enjoy helping me with training. I have good vets on hand, a good farrier. You know, there's all kinds of things. They get a dentist that comes to see them. They get chiropractic and acupuncture. So we really, you know, do treat them like the athletes that they are.
Angela Holleran-Smith, the national dressage coach, said, if you believe, anything is possible in Bermuda.
We are extremely excited that she was able to do 2 horses this time, not just one, and that really shows the international community that we're not just the one-hit wonder, that we have a really good, solid program going on here in Bermuda, and it's just thrilling that now we can put out there to Bermudians that you can really reach for the stars here on the island. And I just want everybody to raise their standards a little bit and to know that things are really possible here in Bermuda. And so we're very excited.
24 athletes have been selected to represent Bermuda at the 23rd Central American and Caribbean Games, which are being held in Colombia from July 19th through to August 3rd. 5 athletes will compete in athletics. That will include Olympian Tyrone Smith, Sakari Famous, Dej Minus, Tiara DeRosa, and Tahira Butterfield. Akeem Tolbert, Damian Matthews, David Maycock, Lamar Richardson, Levin Samuels, and Rakai Benz will compete in bowling. Andre Lamb and Tyler Christopher will compete in boxing, while Kaiwan Miners will represent Bermuda in equestrian show jumping. Michael Franklin, Noah Brown, and Nick Kine will compete in squash, while Nicole Mitchell will represent Bermuda in cycling. Cameron Pimentel and Malcolm Ben Smith will compete in sailing, while Jesse Washington and Madeline Moore will compete in swimming. Erica Hawley and Tyler Smith will compete in the triathlon. Michael Franklin bowed out of the 3rd edition of the BTMI Barbados Squash Open in the quarterfinals. Franklin was taking on the tournament's number 3 seed, Zach Alexander, who the day before defeated Bermuda's other competitor, Noah Brown. Franklin, like Brown, would take Alexander, who was from Australia, to 5 games, but Franklin would fall 3-2 in a match that lasted 54 minutes. Alexander won the first game 11-1. He would then go ahead 2-0 when he won the second game 11-8, but Franklin would fight back to win the third game 11-7. Franklin would then
leveled the match at 2-2 when he won the fourth game 11-8. However, Alexander would prevail in the fifth and final game 11-4 to advance to the semifinal. I'm Earl Baisden with Bermuda Broadcasting Sports.
Thank you, Earl. Well, that's our newscast for tonight. I'm Diane Brewer. Thank you for sharing your Friday evening with us. Everyone, have a wonderful weekend. Good night.